Mangalam Bhagavan Viro Mangalam Gautama Prabhu
Om Namo Arihantanam Namo Siddhanam Namo Ayariyanam Namo Vachayanam Namo
Jai Jinendra and welcome to Mangalam. Today we bring to you in next few episodes series of lectures by Anop Vora. Anop Vora is a well-known person in the Jain community of North America. He is the past president of JAINA, also the past president of the Mahavir Jain Vidyalay Alumni and many other things. He has been well known for his social work, and now we will know him as a Jain scholar. He also has a very good grip on the Jain philosophy, and he will be giving lectures on the toxic emotions that we call kashai. In next few lectures, he will be bringing you the information about all the kashai or toxic emotions, especially anger, ego, deceit and greed, and how our scriptures help you control this or get rid of this. So here we present to you the first lecture in the series of lectures by Anop Vora.
Jai Jinendra, good morning. I would like to talk to you about one of the critical problems of human life. It's about what Jainism calls kashais, or about the poisonous emotions of anger, ego, deceit and greed, and related passions we can all relate to. We may not realize that these emotions play a major role in the way we think, speak and act, and in the way they shape our future. Let me show you the structure of my presentation. In the first talk, I'll discuss all toxic emotions and show you the relationship with the karmic bondage. In the following session, I'll just talk about the anger because it's easier to control than the other three emotions. In the third talk, I will explore the emotions of ego, deceit and greed and suggest practical ideas to control them. And in the last segment, I will offer some deeper level steps to bring about a lasting change in one's behavior and then summarize the key points at the end. So now, without further ado, let me begin with the first session. Would you believe that President Obama talked about the topic of toxic emotions while celebrating Diwali at the White House recently? Well, you might wonder, White House and toxic emotions? Well, President Obama may not have realized, but he did cover this topic when he spoke. And this is what he said. In Jainism, Diwali signifies the attainment of nirvana by Lord Mahavir, one of a long line of spiritual leaders known for achieving enlightenment by freeing themselves of base human impulses and emotions. Ladies and gentlemen, President Obama shared with the audience on that day one of the core teachings of the Jain religion. His message was very important because he highlighted a close relationship between liberation or moksha and the control of base impulses and emotions. It's the same message we find in the first line of Navkar mantra. When we say Namo Arihantanam, we bow down and show respect to those enlightened souls who have conquered the inner enemies of anger, ego, deceit, and greed. And it's the same message we come across in many Jain prayers and rituals. And it's the same message we find in Atma Siddhi, written by one of the recent, well-respected spiritual gurus. I'm sure you know him, Srimad Rajchandran. Let me show you one of his stanzas from that great composition. Srimadji proclaimed through this stanza that lowering the intensity of toxic emotions is the very first prerequisite for anyone who wants to achieve the self-realization. Other Jain scholars have echoed a similar message subsequently. Now, let's explore this topic in more detail. To start with, let's be cognizant of the fact that there are 4 major kashayas or toxic emotions, and they are anger, arrogance, deception, and greed, or in Prakrit language, they are called krodh, man, maya, and lobh. Beside these 4 emotions, or 4 major emotions, there are 9 quasi-emotions called no kashayas. Our scriptures say that the moment we get rid of them all, we can indeed achieve Kevajnana. We don't need to do anything else. This concept obviously sounds very simple, but the application is indeed very challenging, and we all know about it. Since the time of Lord Mahavir, our sages have told us over and over again that it's very important to erase the toxic emotions from our character completely to reach our highest spiritual potential, that's called moksha. And perhaps we feel that we have understood the message perfectly. And perhaps we accept it intellectually. But do we remember this message when we are supposed to? When someone makes us angry, do we stay calm and composed, or do we blow off? When we have a few $1 million in the bank account, do we stay polite or become arrogant and start riding up in the sky? How come the message goes out the window when we run into a real life situation? Why? Why? Well, let's see if we can resolve this predicament by analyzing the problem in depth. Jain sages have divided up each of the primary emotions in 4 categories based upon the intensity. The table in the slide shows these categories in Prakrit language on the left hand side and in English on the right hand side. Basically, they are classified as highly intense, strong, mild, and very mild emotions. You might ask, why is the intensity of toxic emotions so important? The answer is very simple. How strongly we express an emotion has a huge impact on us physically, socially, and in terms of peace of mind and karmic bondage. And that's the reason why Jainism is saying that although no emotions are good for us, if we cannot erase them totally while living a worldly life, we should do our very best to use the emotions that are very mild in nature. In addition, Jainism has identified 9 other related passions called no-kashayas. They include laughing at the misfortune of a fellow human being, feelings of likes and dislikes, grief, fear, disgust, and sexual passions towards humans of different genders. These quasi-emotions serve as a catalyst to invoke the primary emotions and are quite damaging too. And although our scriptures have described them in generic terms centuries ago, we can still relate with them to our daily life easily by looking at the next 2 slides. As you can see, the emotions take many forms and shades in life. For example, anger may range from a mild degree to an intense form, possibly culminating into bitter animosity and vengeance. Arrogance, on the other hand, could take the form of self-importance, showmanship, or large ego. Deception may range from plain cunningness to an outright cheating. On the other hand, greed could show up in the form of self-indulgence to mad craving for money, sex, and power. If you analyze both slides, you will notice that they cover a full range of human emotions we come across every single day. All these emotions, all of them, represent transient states of a hyperactive mind that reacts at the speed of a bullet. And it would appear that we have invented quite a few vicious ways over the years to express the toxic emotions, but have found no solution to control them. We have not made much progress as yet, I believe, for 2 important reasons. First, when we react blindly, the emotions want to take us over, and usually they succeed. They will succeed unless there is enough presence in us, unless we are close to our peaceful, real nature. Secondly, when we generate an emotional response, usually we are unaware and too blind to see when the things happen at a very fast clip. Unfortunately, most of us become aware only after the fact, after the damage is done, and then it's too late. Besides the lack of awareness, we need to look at another aspect too. And that aspect is based on the fact that the most of us do not understand the karmic consequences of what we do. We think that expressing an emotion of anger, arrogance, deception, or greed is a one-time event of little significance, and we feel that somehow we can get away with our misdeed. We think we have nothing to worry because there is no one to police our conduct. But if we study the theory of karma carefully, it gives us a totally different perspective. It says very clearly that everyone has to pay for each and every evil thought, word, or deed sooner or later, without any exception. And this being the reality, let's try to understand the nature of the karmic cycle as it relates to the toxic emotions. As the slide shows, when the past karmas come to fruition, when they ripen, and an event occurs, most of us react with emotions rather blindly. Our reactions are normally based upon ignorance and wrong beliefs called mithyatva at this point, and thus on an impure state of mind. The emotions generated are of two broad categories at this stage: rag and dvesh, and I'm sure you have heard about them so many times. In English, they mean attachment and aversion. Attachment gives rise to deception and greed. Aversion, on the other hand, gives rise to anger and arrogance. These emotions give rise to verbal and then physical actions involving violence, lies, stealing, sexual lust, and a rat race to acquire more and more and more. The important point to remember is that the toxic emotions and harmful words and deeds are closely connected. One is the cause, other is the effect. Let me repeat. One is the cause, other is the effect. Thoughts, then speech, and then deeds, along with the toxic emotion, lead to the formation of new karmas that initiate a brand new karmic cycle. This is what's been going on with most of us since the time immemorial. Essentially, we are trapped in this cycle. So then how do we break the cycle? Is there a way around? Yeah, let's take a look at the next slide. Please study this slide, which is nothing but a graphical representation of the previous slide. As you can see, in order to break the cycle, we need to remove the green balloon of the toxic emotions from it. As simple as that. Absent the toxic emotions, the new karmas are powerless. And then cycle is more or less broken, and this paves the way towards liberation. You might say, hey, wait a minute. This makes sense, but how do I get rid of my toxic emotions? Well, that's a very important issue we need to ponder over. To get the answer to this important question, please come back and listen to the remaining segments of this presentation. I'm pretty sure you will find the answer to the question very satisfying and useful. And thank you for your time, and Jai Jinendra, and see you next week.
Now it's time to take a short break, but please don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Now we present to you a beautiful song by Kumar Chatterjee. Then Rishabh Mehta will present to you the Jain Global News. Then you will see a performance by our Jain youth.
ज्यों जाने त्यों कर ले भलाई, जन्म जन्म सुख पावे अवसर बहर बहर नहीं भिन्न 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 बहर बहर नहीं आवे अवसर बहर बहर नहीं आवे ज्यों जाने त्यों कर ले भलाई जाई जन्म जन्म सुख पावे अवसर बहर बहर नहीं आवे तन धन जौवन सबही जूठा तन धन जौवन सबही जूठा प्राण पलक में जावे अवसर प्राण पलक में जावे तन छूटी धन कौन काम को तन छूटी धन कौन काम को काय को कृपाण कहावे अवसर बहर बहर नहीं आवे जाके दिल में साच बसत है पदानी सरे गरे नि सा नि गारे सरे नि सा धनी म बदनी सा म बदनी सा म बदनी सा जाके दिल में साच बसत है ताकू जुट ना भावे अवसर ताकू जुट ना भावे
Jai Jinandar. This is Rusha Mehta welcoming you all to Global Jain News. Because millions of Hindus, Buddhists, and Jains follow the rules of vegetarianism, all Indian restaurants must have separate veg and non-veg menus. Eggs are restricted to the non-veg menus, and companies selling eggless cakes thrive. But a row between India's Vegetarian Congress and the London-based International Vegetarian Union came to a boil last summer after IVC leaders rebelled over IVU ruling that eggs are vegetarian and those who eat eggs can be vegetarian. On Monday, the IVC's leaders announced that they have withdrawn from the International Vegetarian Union and created their own vegetarian council to halt the acceptance of eggs as vegetarian and promote real vegetarianism. In Ahmedabad, thousands of Jain devotees performed Havan marking the day when Yakshraj Sri Manibhadra got elevated as God. Organized by Sri Parimal Jain Sangh, the event also witnessed worshipping of 3,600 Manibhadra yantra. The Sangh claimed that this was the first time that yantras in such a large numbers have been worshipped at a single place. On August 24 and 25th, Claremont Lincoln University was host of the 2012 Claremont Lincoln International Jain Bioethics Conference. The spiritual interactions between scholars and the members of the Jain community was a delightful learning experience for everyone involved. Over 125 participants exchanged their views on bioethical issues with Jain, Hindu, Buddhist, Sikh, Christian, Jewish, and Islamic perspectives. This is Rusha Mehta taking your leave. Jai Jinandar.
Mangalam cha sauvesim
मंदिर खोलो दयामय मंगल मंदिर खोलो मंगल मंदिर खोलो दयामय मंगल मंदिर खोलो जीवन वन अति वेगे वटाव्यु द्वार उभो शिशुभो जीवन वन अति वेगे वटाव्यु द्वार उभो शिशुभो तिमिर गयो ने ज्योति प्रकाशो तिमिर गयो ने ज्योति प्रकाशो शिशु ने उर्मालो लो दयामय मंगल मंदिर को मंगल मंदिर खोलो दयामय मंगल मंदिर खोलो
Today we start a new feature on our show, Your Emails. We'll be reading your emails and suggestions and comments. We have Dipti Mehta who will be running this feature. So today we present to you the first time your emails.
Jai Jinendra. This is Dipti Mehta welcoming you all to the Mangalam show. From today, we are starting a new segment where I'm gonna read some of our viewers' emails who like our show. This email is from Jain Rajendra Dugar from Chennai. Dear Sir or Madam, I'm really very impressed to see the Mangalam show regularly, and it gives me a lot of knowledge about Jainism. And Mrs. Mamta Shah is superb at hosting. Thank you, Mr. Jain, for your kind words. The next email is from Mr. Vijay Lathia. Jai Jinendra, this is a great start and initiative to make Jain religious programs accessible to all. It would be good if you can add latest Jain information for youth of various age groups who only can follow and view English only content. One way to generate this content would be to contact all USA, Canada and India Pathshala to send in their videos on Jainism. Thank you, Mr. Lathia, for your suggestions and your interest in the improvement of our show. We'll try to incorporate your suggestions. Please keep writing to us. Your emails give us courage and motivation to go on. I'll see you all soon with more emails. This is Dipti Mehta taking your leave. Jai Jinendra.
I hope you enjoyed today's program. We'd like to have your emails coming to us, so please keep sending them. We'll bring you the series of lectures again next time, so don't forget to tune in. Until then, Jai Jinendra. For your tax-free donations, suggestions and comments, please visit mangalamshow.com.
जब जय